Hey, what's up guys? It's Brunner here. Finally decided to pull the trigger and make my YouTube account, get it all ready to upload videos and everything. So I made this account because I wanted to tell everybody my story, kind of like where I'm coming from and where I'm going, where I'm at now. And to break it down a little bit, I grew up on the East Coast in northern New Jersey. I went to high school there and graduated before moving out to Kansas. Briefly stayed in Kansas. Trained as a lifeguard. Got a job at a pool in the middle of Kansas, and I wanted to see what else I could do with that. So I went online. I Googled, what kind of lifeguards are there in the world. I stumbled upon San Diego County ocean lifeguards, and I always wanted to live in San Diego. So I decided to make that my goal for the next year, to go and train, to be able to meet the physical requirements to do that. So a couple months after graduating high school, after working at the pool, I drove out to San Diego, met up with my uncle, who was kind enough to put me up in his house for a few months, and I started my training out there. It was several hundred hours of training to get the certifications and to pass all the classes and the academies and everything that you need to go through. And I got hired on at a beach in North County, San Diego. After that, I wound up working there for about a year before I went up to school in Canada. I went to UBC in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I joined the race team up there. So I raced sailboats for them, and I lasted up there about a year before I decided that I really wanted to follow my dream, go back to San Diego, make a life for myself out there. So I wound up transferring back to school in San Diego, and had something pretty major happen with my family. At that point, I decided to move closer to them and finish out my degree in the Midwest. When I got to the Midwest, I wound up deciding to stay and transfer to the University of Kansas. Now, when I first got out to the University of Kansas, I had my cousin out here, and we were both really big into nightlife. So I wound up finding work in nightlife. We became door guys at this club called Tonic. And we met a lot of really cool people there, and I learned a lot of crazy skills. I have some pretty wild stories from there. And I wound up meeting some guys that were bartenders there. They were co-ed cheerleaders for the University of Kansas, and I didn't really know what to think about that, but I knew that these guys were really confident, not afraid to pursue the goals that they had, just regardless of what anybody said. They were so confident in themselves that nothing would dissuade them from relentlessly going after what they wanted. And I became really good friends with them, and they told me to come try out for the team. At first I was like, what? That's weird. Probably not. I decided to give it a try. So I went to one of the open gyms they had, and there were a couple girls there that I threw around. I actually could not do any of the stunts that were required, so one of the guys actually placed this girl in my hands and took a photo. And the coach at the time was really in need of guys. It's a pretty common thing to need guys. A lot of guys don't want to go out for the team. There's a lot of stigma behind it. So I instantly fell in love with it. It's like Olympic weightlifting, but with people. But when you drop the weights, they don't scream. Yeah, that was a pretty crazy year though. Just getting in front of everybody, being able to hit skills at a 100% success rate, in any other area of life is impossible, but you're out there, you're in Allen Fieldhouse floor, and it's a historical place where the sport of basketball was invented at the University of Kansas. So Allen Fieldhouse, that is the place for basketball. That's sacred ground right there, and you're in front of all these people and you're on TV, so being able to hit those skills it's something else in front of all those people. But the opportunities are endless. That's probably the decision that I got the most crap for, that I don't regret at all. Anytime you bring that up to people, they're like, what? That's so weird, why would you do that? But I'm like, no, I will double down on that. Best decision I ever made. The experiences I got from that, the connections that I made from that, and the time that I had was incredible. And to this day, I'm not on the team anymore, but I do like throwing people around. It's pretty fun. So everything that I've done up to this point has been pretty fitness oriented. You know, when I was out in San Diego, the physical requirements that you have to meet in order to even get through the academy, let alone to be a lifeguard and rescue people without letting anybody die and without dying yourself. I mean, they're pretty high requirements. You have to be an athlete. Same thing on the team at KU is, you're holding people above your head. There's no two ways about it. You have to be strong and you have to be conditioned very well. My fitness journey started when I was in high school. I wound up gaining a lot of weight really quickly. I think my maximum weight was like 269 pounds, and I was like 5'10" at the time. And one day I looked in the mirror, and I didn't recognize who was staring back at me. I was like, what the f*** is that? Yeah, so I started doing 5 a.m. workouts after that. I didn't do anything with my diet at all. I strictly started working out and lifting. And by only doing that and keeping the same eating habits I had, I went from 269 pounds all the way down to like 220. And then I plateaued at 220 for a while. Even, all throughout my time in high school, graduating and then going to be lifeguard in San Diego, I was still, kind of hovering above 200, 220. That was kind of it until one year. I was coming back from school in Vancouver. I remember when I left San Diego for Vancouver, I could barely make out a six-pack. If I flexed really hard, on the right lighting, with a really good pump on, and I could kind of make out a six-pack. And that was the best feeling ever. I went up to school and I totally lost it, and I came back fat. And it was at that point that I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I need to figure out how to cut the rest of that weight. Because, it was my goal ever since I was a fat 10th grader to, be ripped, have a great six-pack, if people look up to you and, I don't know, just be happy with yourself, be confident. That's all I really wanted. And I finally buckled down and really, looked into how to do it. And I downloaded MyFitnessPal, started tracking all my calories, started looking at the type of food that I was eating, the quality of the calories, just breaking down the macros, figuring out what worked best for me. I discovered that I had a lot of food intolerances that would give me like really bad headaches, brain fog, all sorts of nasty stuff that made me feel sick, basically. And if you're eating stuff that makes you feel sick, then you can probably guess that whatever's going on with trying to get your weight loss goals or whatever, that's probably not helping. If it's causing those kinds of effects, then it's probably hindering you from getting to whatever goal you're having. So I did a total elimination diet, and I discovered a lot of things that I couldn't eat or I'd feel sick. So I wound up cutting those out, getting my calories dialed, wound up tracking every single thing that I ate. When I moved from San Diego to Kansas, I took a little break in between and visited my family on the East Coast for 2 months. That's where I went from 190 to about 180, maybe high 170s. But when I moved back to Kansas, that's when I cut down to 169, I think was my all-time lightest. So I went from 269 pounds as a fat little 15-year-old kid to, I think I was 22 at the time. It took me a while to get all dialed in, but I finally cut 100 pounds and gotten that perfect six-pack that I always wanted. Except I was looking real small. Like, I was muscular, clearly, but I didn't really want to hover around the 160s. That's not my comfortable weight. I'd prefer to be 190, somewhere around there. So, some days I look back and I don't even know how I was able to keep going through all of it. And so what I want to do now is to tell people my stories, and I want to inspire them. I want to spread good vibes around, and I want people to I want people to get up and get after their goals no matter what they are. Because if I did it, you can do it. Everybody can do it. That's the thing. You can do it, but you have to do it. You know, you have the ability to, but to make it happen is a different story. Thanks for taking time out of your day to see me. I've got a lot of content, a lot of crazy stories from all my travels coming up. I can't wait to make more content. I can't wait to put this out there. Yeah, it's gonna be really good. Got some high quality, got some really high quality videos, some pretty crazy things that I want to work in, and I think they're gonna make for some pretty epic videos. Thanks.